Hi und herzlich willkommen hier live bei MRTV. Es ist mal wieder Zeit für einen etwas längeren Livestream, denn heute gibt es ein neues Pimax-Event. Sollte Pimax Day 3 sein und die gehen jetzt gleich um 7 Uhr unserer Zeit live. Und ich habe mir gedacht, komm, warum streame ich das nicht einfach mal und übersetze das so ein bisschen für euch auf Deutsch und kann auch gleich darauf reagieren. Also, wenn ihr da mal live dabei sein wollt, dann bleibt hier beim Stream dabei, denn genau damit geht's jetzt los. Ja, hi und herzlich willkommen hier bei MRTV. Mein Name ist Sebastian und auf diesem Kanal hier geht es um die virtuelle Realität. Ich bringe euch unabhängige und ehrliche Reviews zu allen VR-Headsets und es gibt Live-Events, genau wie dieses hier. Also wenn ihr diesen Kanal hier noch nicht abonniert haben solltet, dann tut das und klickt aufs Glockensymbol, damit ihr keins meiner Videos verpasst. Ja, in einer Minute soll es losgehen und dann schauen wir mal, was Pimax Neues für uns hat. Also wir haben ja schon gehört, die 8KX kann jetzt 90 Hertz. Und ja, vielleicht hören wir was Neues von den Controllern, keine Ahnung. Wir werden uns das live hier anschauen. Wenn ihr diesen Kanal hier unterstützen wollt, könnt ihr das tun, indem ihr Mitglied der MRTV Elite werdet unter mrtvelite.com. Genau, hier zeige ich es gerade an. Oder indem ihr mir eine Spende schickt. Und der Spendenlink ist unten in der Beschreibung dieses Videos und wird hier live angezeigt. Würde mich natürlich sehr darüber freuen. Ja, hallo Winnie, hallo Reality Stalker. Dann lasst uns das mal gemeinsam anschauen. So, hier geht's gleich los. Steht hier jedenfalls. Und dann sind wir mal gespannt. Fullscreen, genau. So, please wait. Livestream is starting soon. Ich mache mich selbst auch mal ein bisschen kleiner hier. Und jetzt geht das los. Fully ruggedized Headset Housing, ergonomisches modulares Audio Strap, Deluxe Audio Upgrade, Komfortkit, das sieht ja, haben sie ja schön gemacht hier. Eye-Tracking Modul und Hand-Tracking Modul. Und natürlich SteamVR Raumtracking. Okay. Da haben sie mal richtig investiert hier für ein neues Image-Video. Cool. Moment, ich mach das. So. Der Pimax Livestream ist starting. Okay, das ist deren neue Software. Artisan, 5K Super, Vision 8KX. Also das haben sie ja schon mal schön gemacht. Kann man nicht anders sagen. Und da sind sie.
Hello everyone and welcome to the Pimax
Martin
live event. Actually, it's not the now event
und
or
Kevin Henderson.
the Pimax Day event, it's the live event. My name is Martin and I'm here with Kevin Henderson, the COO of Pimax back in Florida. Hey Kevin, how are you doing?
How you doing? We're back again.
Wie läuft's?
Yeah,
ich habe
here
sie
we
lange
are
nicht mehr
again. It's
gesehen.
been a while.
Hier
of
sind sie.
course.
Das ist Kevin Henderson,
I
der
know we should
Pimax
have done this long ago,
COO.
but yeah, here we are at least. So
Yeah, we've we hadn't done one of these in a bit, and we want to
Sie haben es lange
keep
nicht
this
mehr
going,
getan.
and plus we want to do it a little bit more often too. I
Und
think
sie wollen
we've
das Ganze auch ein bisschen häufiger
come to
machen
the
in
conclusion that we
Zukunft.
need to open up the communication some more.
right.
Und sie wollen
I
mehr
have to
Kommunikation
start, with
bringen.
this, that we're airing this live on the Pimax YouTube channel. We're also
Und das ist
mirroring this
anscheinend
on my
wirklich
YouTube
komplett
channel,
live. Also es sieht
Survivor.
nicht
I've
aufgezeichnet
never done this
aus.
before, so if something goes wrong, just jump into the Pimax YouTube channel instead and keep watching because here
Okay,
it's
das
straight
Ganze
word
wird
to
live
text.
übertragen auf dem Pimax offiziellen Kanal und auf dem Survivor-Kanal.
Right.
Ich habe ihn lange nicht mehr gesehen, den Survivor, den
Right.
Martin.
So Kevin, tell me, what is the Pimax Live?
Was ist das Pimax
So,
Live-Event?
we have three different kinds of events.
Wir haben 3 verschiedene Events.
Pimax Now and we had Pimax Day.
Pimax Now, Pimax Day.
Originally we were going to call this Pimax Day too.
Und sie wollten das auch Pimax Day nennen, aber
This is going to be more informational. It's going to talk about a lot of the things we've done lately.
das Ganze soll informativer sein und es soll auch über die Zukunft gehen.
About things like beta programs and
Und sie werden über Beta-Programme
involved in.
sprechen.
Pimax Now would be revolving around things that we're shipping, where there's some big new product that we're shipping that everybody should get excited about. You and I, you know how we are.
Okay, jetzt geht's los. Wo geht's heute drum?
Event, which
Okay, sie wollen dieses Pimax Live-Event jeden Monat jetzt bringen. Und die haben spannende Sachen, sagen sie jedenfalls.
Our viewers are currently looking at the table of content, and as you can see, there are some interesting and very exciting things to talk about tonight. Some of these
Hallo Leute übrigens, hallo Subnabi, hallo Dämon.
some of these things you may already know about.
Ist das so okay mit der Lautstärke, mit dem Original Englischen, oder soll ich das Original Englische noch leiser machen? Schreibt's mal bitte rein.
Right. Yeah, and we've got a fair amount to talk about and reveal. And
Okay,
also,
sie haben viel zu bereden.
but yeah, and then as we move on down the road with some of these
Oh, sie reden auch über die Controller.
shows, I think
Schön.
as you and I both know, we've got some pretty amazing things to talk about. So, mind-blowing things to talk about. So,
Okay, ich kann noch ein bisschen lauter machen. Okay.
I think it's definitely worth people's while to check this out and
Absolutely.
see what's new.
Absolutely.
Okay, wir werden auch was von den Controllern hören. Schön.
Talking about our flagship headset,
Right.
the Pimax Vision 8KX, the
Absolutely.
native 4K.
Es geht los mit der Pimax 8KX.
Just a couple of days from now, or a couple of days back, it got a huge update.
Genau, vor ein paar Tagen hat es ein großes Update
That's a
bekommen.
firmware update,
Und zwar ein
which is very
Firmware-Update.
simple to do as a Pimax 8KX owner, and it adds the 90 Hertz.
Und es gibt jetzt 90 Hertz.
In a native mode, in the native 4K
Vorher gab es nur
resolution mode
75
per eye.
Hertz.
And also it also adds a 60 Hertz
Und es
native
gibt
mode,
einen
which we'll
neuen
talk about
60 Hertz
later. But let's
Modus. Da
talk
reden sie
about
gleich noch drüber.
the 90 Hertz native 4K mode.
Und jetzt geht es
Yeah,
erstmal
you know,
um den
we-
90 Hertz
Our
Modus.
engineer has been working with NVIDIA for a long time to try to, this is something that we would have liked to have released.
Sie haben mit
on the
Nvidia
first day of the
zusammengearbeitet
8KX,
und wollten es eigentlich sofort am Anfang
But,
schon mit 90 Hertz
but,
bringen,
it took
aber
some
hat nicht
time,
geklappt.
but as we did with the Pimax 5K Plus, we continually increased the refresh rates and we added, just all sorts of enhancements and improvements in the firmware updates. We're going to do that with the 8KX too.
Die 8KX
And,
bekommt
of course,
also
the,
immer
90
neue
Hertz is a big
Firmware-Updates
one,
und sie haben viel
So,
gelernt.
A lot of people, their holy grail was to be able to run 4K per eye and 90 hertz and have a wide field of view. And we've been able to achieve all of that with this update. We've
Okay,
got,
mit dem
you
Update
get
haben sie es
full
also
field of
geschafft.
view at 90
Sie haben
hertz
90 Hertz,
with the high
4K pro
resolution.
Auge und
Of
mit
course, it
dem
was a difficult thing to
großen
get the bandwidth.
FOV.
I think we're using like 99.9% of the bandwidth across the display port, so.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. I mean, this has been a progress for basically a year, ever since CES last year, I think. I mean, the engineers have been working
Also
really
sie haben
hard,
ein Jahr
and,
lang dran
Robin and
gearbeitet
the whole
an
company
diesen
are super
Firmware-Updates.
proud, including us, of course. We're super proud to
Und
be
jetzt sind sie
able
super
to give
stolz
this
drauf,
to
dass sie
every
90
single
Hertz haben
8KX
mit der
owner,
8KX.
just totally for free, of course, because we never promised this from start. We settled
Und
for
jetzt
75
geht's.
Hertz
Ja, sie haben
back
es
here
niemals
upon release
uns
because
versprochen
it
mit den
was
90
stable
Hertz,
back
aber
then.
jetzt haben sie es
But
geschafft.
now
Okay.
it finally is working in 90 hertz, and as you said, it's not only working in 90 hertz, it's also working with a large field of view, with
Yeah, it
all of the
doesn't
field of
change.
view.
Normally, it changes the field of view when you increase the refresh rate that way.
Also und sie sind stolz
But
drauf,
we've been able to do it where you get the
dass
super maximum field
man
of view
das Ganze
and
mit
have
dem
a high
großen
refresh
Field of
rate
View
and
auch
a high
haben
field of view.
kann. Denn
Right.
vorher war es so, dass sie
You know,
dann
there
aufs
is
kleine
another
Field of
catch
View
to this,
gewechselt haben.
And
Yeah.
that is that currently, this is the current progress of the firmware, is that it only supports, at least officially only supports, the RTX 30 series graphic card.
Okay, es gibt
including
aber
the
einen
3070,
Haken.
3080,
Das Ganze geht nur mit der 3070, 3080 oder 3090. Es könnte auch mit anderen Grafikkarten funktionieren, aber sie können es nur wirklich mit der 3070, 3080 oder 3090 garantieren.
Not only that, I saw a guy write a whole thing up on how he had a Radeon 6800.
Right,
and
it was a
working at 90
68 or
hertz.
6900, right, yes, exactly.
So I imagine that.
Okay, von mir aus können Sie auch jetzt zum nächsten Thema schon gehen. Also, das haben wir jetzt verstanden.
It's just not guaranteed right now.
Absolutely.
It's only a beta,
Right.
but we're going to be improving it further. And we've got just so many ideas on things we can do,
Yeah.
and for the future, so.
Ich könnte
Just
eigentlich
like
mal
the
mein
5K
Video
Plus,
rausnehmen. Ne?
We're gonna keep adding more modes. We're gonna keep improving PyTool. The whole experience will just keep evolving.
Also Sie meinen, Sie werden es alles noch besser machen.
Just think about a year ago, you and I, a year ago, 2 years ago, what things were like.
Right.
what PyTool was like.
Und sie
You
haben
know,
das Ganze schon
definitely.
innerhalb einem Jahr sehr
there was no
verbessert, sagen sie.
brightness control, there was no backlight control, there was only one refresh rate.
Yeah.
You only had one refresh rate.
Yeah.
We had field of view, if you recall. We didn't even have adjustable fields of view when we started.
Yeah.
So
But we've been improving every single headset. I mean, just like the 5K Plus, like the
Und sie
5K
haben
Super,
alle
we
ihre
increased the
Headsets
refresh
verbessert. Die
rates, all
5K
the
Plus
time.
haben sie auch verbessert, auch von der Refresh Rate. Und immer waren die Firmware-Upgrades umsonst. Ja, gut.
Now, also, I want to
Ist
add
besser.
that this 90 Hertz mode also supports smart smoothing, which means that you can run your games in 45 frames per second instead of 90. If you cannot hold up 90 frames per second.
Und es gibt Smart Smoothing auch bei der Vision 8KX. Das heißt, das Ganze kann mit 45 Hertz laufen und wird dann auf 90 Hertz hochgerechnet.
Yep. And of course, other improvements that we've made to it. One of them is the new optical cable, which is a
Und es gibt ein
longer
neues
cable.
Kabel, ein 6 Meter Kabel, ein optisches Kabel. Es ist flexibler, es ist besser, es ist absolut besser in jeder Art und Weise.
It's longer.
Dünner, länger, besser.
It's both thinner, it's longer, it's 6 meters, roughly 20 feet, but it's also more flexible, which means it's
Also flexibler ist das Ganze auch.
when you're using it. It's
Also
not-
besseres
you don't
Kabel.
feel it as
Okay.
much when you're turning around and such, because it's just more of like a. It feels just better, I would say, and of course.
Hallo,
I mean,
Blizzardo.
The good parts about the optical interface, which the display port is transferred through, right? Is that
Just
it's
one,
more
one USB.
right? It's one USB, and that's for the tracking data and for the of all the other tracking and
Power.
the specific data, and power, of course. But the most importantly, it's less prone to damage, that cable, and it
Nam
transfers a
Repu.
more reliable signal, which means that here's the thing: some graphic cards has lower signal on the display port.
Also das Kabel ist besser auch von der Signalübertragung. Und wenn es irgendein ein Problem mit den normalen Kabeln gab vorher, kann es sein, dass diese Kabel das Problem lösen, denn die Signalübertragung ist einfach besser und das Ganze gibt es auf der Webseite zu kaufen.
That's what we'll include eventually. That'll be the default cable.
Auf lange Sicht werden sie auch das Kabel immer dabei geben, automatisch.
Is that the AKX is a new electrical platform, and so all of our headsets are migrating to that over time.
Yeah.
So, which means that the electrical platform the AKX has, the 5K Super uses it.
Yes.
Even the Artisan is beginning to use it. All of our headsets do. And as we evolve the platforms, we'll migrate all the models into them.
Yeah.
So,
some of you may not even know what the 8KX is, and I'm just going to mention it fast because I'm showing the specifications currently.
Okay, jetzt geht es nochmal um die 8KX, was das eigentlich ist.
Pimax only 4K.
Das ist halt deren Flaggschiffmodell mit 4K-Panels.
It powers 2 LCD panels which are full-size 4K, and they use RGB striped matrix. So it's quite some heavy technology here, and now having 60, 75 and 90 Hertz available in the native mode, while also 114 Hertz is available in the upscaled mode. It's quite a nice package, I must say, and it just gives even more.
Also er findet das Headset richtig gut.
Who was hesitating to buy the 8KX might now reconsider it, especially since the 90 Hertz is out.
and we probably should mention that during this stream and for the next hours, anybody who gets an AKX will get a free KD mask.
Right.
And which is worth $120.
Yes.
And so you get the KD mask for free, and the KD mask is a vast improvement over the S mask. I think anybody agrees that it's a million times.
Also jetzt geht es darum, dass alle, die jetzt dieses Headset bestellen, die bekommen halt Kopfhörer dabei, diese sogenannten KD-Masks. Aber bis jetzt hat man noch nichts gehört von deren
speakers
von deren noch
with
besseren
those air muffs. So it's
Headsets,
blocks out surrounding sound. It's way
Kopfhörern.
better audio quality in general, better speakers, and yeah, it's a great package, I think. Now,
go ahead.
Sorry, Kevin. I was just thinking about the 60 hertz, which we haven't even talked about yet. Now,
Watch the movie. That's the best movie mode and flight sim mode.
Right. Now, some people might ask, why 60 hertz? Because it's quite a low refresh rate for VR.
Jetzt geht es um den 60 Hertz Modus und warum sie den haben.
Which even I can do at times. If I just brighten the backlight up to 100%, there might be some minor flicker. It all depends how sensitive you are, how sensitive your eyes are. But the beauty of 60 hertz is, of course, first of all, is to be able to run the games in 60 hertz smooth. Now, here's the thing, most of you know this already, but some of you might not, in that when running in 75 hertz or 90 hertz, if the game itself is rendering or running in, let's say, 72 frames per second, it's going to feel a little bit stuttery, of course. Now, if you lower down the refresh rate to 60 hertz and lock the frame rate to 60 hertz, it's going to feel much more smooth.
Also, wenn man ein Spiel mit 60 im 60 Hertz Modus spielt, dann kann das Ganze viel flüssiger gespielt werden. Bei einigen Spielen wie zum Beispiel DCS, gerade für Rennsimulatoren und Flugsimulatoren, könnte der 60 Hertz Modus besser sein und flüssiger.
We should also mention that the different refresh rates affect the smart smoothing. It affects the threshold for the smart smoothing to kick in.
Yes.
The threshold is half of whatever the refresh rate is set to.
Yes.
So if you have your refresh rate set to 60, it sets the threshold to 30 for the smart smoothing.
Yes.
So basically, for something like Flight Sim 2020, you really want to run it in 60 because you want to get that threshold for smart smoothing down to 30.
Absolutely. This is exactly what I'm showing on screen right now. Some Microsoft Flight Simulator.
Also ich muss sagen, allgemein bis jetzt noch nichts Neues gehört. Ich muss sagen, ich persönlich freue mich auf den 90 Hertz Modus der 8KX. Ich werde es mal ausprobieren, ob es bei meinem Vorserienmodell auch funktioniert. Denn das war doch ein bisschen schade mit den 75 Hertz.
So running here in locked 30 frames per second and reprojecting the image with the asynchronous space warping, which the smart smoothing is, we can get the simulator to run perfectly smooth, even in scenarios like New York, Manhattan, Los Angeles and places which are quite heavy for the GPU and specifically.
Subunabi, ich habe seit dem Beef auch leider nichts mehr von Ihnen gehört, obwohl ich habe mit der Sache abgeschlossen, ja, mit dem Beef. Also ich habe keine negativen Gefühle.
We have a free guide that's on OpenMR where we tell you how to optimize Flight Sim on a Pimax, and we give you everything that you need to know to improve your frame rate. And we did a lot of experiments.
Also, bis jetzt noch nicht großartig Neues. Bis jetzt wissen wir alles. Pimax 8KX, jetzt mit 90 und 60 Hertz Update. Spannender wird es, denke ich mal, bald, wenn es um die Controller geht. Die Pimax Sword Controllers, die Schwertcontroller.
With that guide, and I think a lot of people appreciate it already now in the forums and on Reddit and other social medias. It's really needed. It's one of those few simulators, well, maybe including a digital combat simulator as well, where you really need to tweak your computer to get a proper frame rate, even if you play this on the Oculus Rift or any other low resolution headset. It's the CPU bound. How do you say, single core performance which matters here, and today's CPUs are just.
Also von mir aus können wir jetzt gerne zum nächsten Thema übergehen.
An $800 CPU and still it struggles.
Was meint ihr? Nächstes Thema?
35, maybe 40 frames per second to run this simulator.
But one thing people should know.
Bitte einmal Ja sagen.
You know, it's a CPU-bound game, so if you try to mix a low CPU with a high GPU. Your results aren't going to be so great, you know. So you, in this case, you do kind of have to have both. But one thing to know also is the Pimax experience actually does have some flight sim profiles for the Pimax side.
Alles klar, ihr wollt auch zum nächsten Thema, ne? Blubs und Brucey Juicy.
But the guide that we wrote is about the in-game settings, and so these are the settings that you want to set inside Flight Sim to get the frame rate. So you kind of need to do both. You know.
Ja, Subunabi, ich lese den Chat hier mit. Ist live.
And you also got to find a balance because you see,
Bizarro, immer noch 60 Hertz und wieder so toll ist.
quality, especially if you run this on an 8KX with the 4K resolution. You don't want to scale
Wir
it
sind
down
noch nicht bei den
to
spannenden Themen angelangt.
accelerated mess, you know.
Ich glaube, ich kann mich mal wieder einblenden.
Another
Hallo
thing
zusammen.
about the 8KX or our headsets in general are some of the improvements we've made recently, which are panel backlight is now changing instantly.
Okay, man
So you
kann
don't have to restart the headset. You
das
can just do it
Panel
either in
Backlight, das
Typo
Hintergrundlicht
or you
einstellen
can do it,
und man
in
kann
atmosphere experience, as I showed
IPD
you
Offset
in
einstellen.
the video flow.
Das ist diese
Now
Pimax
also we
VR
have the
Experience, die
IPD
neue
offset
Software.
and, left and right screen offset.
Da haben sie definitiv
for
einiges
working
gemacht,
in
einiges,
both
was jetzt
applications.
besser ist als vorher.
Eye individually now, you know,
Right.
instead of both eyes at the same time, you can actually. So if you have an offset eye where your eyes are not symmetrical, you can correct for that. Which a lot of
Right.
people, like 10% of people, have that.
Absolutely. And
Und
I
Blizzardo,
think
ja,
it's
finde ich auch. Dass man so
such
viel
an
einstellen kann, ist gut.
important thing,
Und man kann hier beim
especially
IPD
the backlight,
die
because
einzelnen
soon
Augen
we will be able
einzeln
to also
einstellen.
the
Also wenn
backlight
ein Auge
and the IPD
vielleicht nicht ganz
offset and the
symmetrisch ist wie das andere,
other
kann man das
left and right
IPD Offset
screen offset
einstellen.
into the game
Das ist
profile. So this is gonna
definitiv,
be
definitiv nicht schlecht.
customizable per game, which is quite awesome, and especially per profile if you have several users at home running the same headset.
And the
occasionally.
profiles will have graphics where they can show you what the in-game settings are.
Right.
So you will have screenshots from the in-game settings, so you can at least see the screenshot of what it is, so that you can go ahead and set it yourself.
Hast du natürlich recht, André. Muss man auch wirklich viel einstellen, damit es passt. Das stimmt natürlich. Das stimmt natürlich.
Find out exactly what you need to do to get the highest frame rate with the best visual quality.
Right.
That's where we're going. You know, we're not quite there yet, but that's where we're going.
We're not there yet, but we've come quite long. I mean, quite far now, and this Division 8KX specifically it's more finished than ever, I would say.
Oh yeah, and not only that, you know, in a little
Also sie
bit
ist
later
noch
in the story, we're
fertiger,
gonna talk
als sie
about
jemals
IPD
war,
more.
sagte der Streamer aber gerade.
And,
Die 8KX.
and some of the things that
Ja,
the team
Rotator,
worked on
komisch, ne?
related
Kein neues
to that.
Headset bis
So
jetzt?
We'll talk about that in a little bit.
Absolutely. So how about we move on to the next
Nächstes
one?
Thema,
Yeah,
jawohl.
the 5K Super. Let's talk about that a little bit.
Die 5K Super.
5K Super. Some of you may not
Die
heard
habe
of
ich
it,
auch
some of you
hier.
have
Habe ich auch schon ein
before.
Video drüber gemacht.
This is our high
Und zwar
refresh rate
ist das
headset.
die
It's
Brille
not
mit der
as
höchsten
high
Bildwiederholrate.
resolution as
Keine
the, Pimax 8KX because it's utilizing
Keine
20
tolle
pounds
Auflösung.
per eye, full size, of course, just like the
Ja.
Pimax 5K Plus.
Also ganz genau dieselbe Auflösung wie bei der 5K Plus, aber mit einer hohen Refresh Rate, Bildwiederholfrequenz. Kann sogar 180 Hertz schaffen. Das stimmt zwar, aber ich glaube nicht, dass man den Unterschied noch sehen kann zwischen 160 und 180.
And that is, you know, it's not meant to, it's not an 8KX. The 5K Super is essentially the successor to the 5K Plus. You know,
Right.
and it
Okay, die 5K Super ist also der Nachfolger der 5K Plus.
Real quick, I'll just rattle them off. You get the new housing, which is something worked on, the ruggedized housing.
Und die hat halt das neue Gehäuse. Sieht also so aus wie die 8KX. Und das Gehäuse ist definitiv besser als das schwarze, das stimmt.
It still has the 2560 by 1440 panels.
Hat immer noch die 5K Plus Auflösung,
And they have a higher refresh rate in their new panels.
aber die Panels sind besser und eben die höhere Refresh-Rate. Darum geht's. Das heißt, man bekommt alles, was man auch von der 8KX bekommt, aber man hat eben noch eine höhere Auflösung und eine höhere Bildwiederholfrequenz, aber eine geringe Auflösung und das Ganze ist günstiger. Und das ist auch nicht schlecht, aber ja, es sieht nicht so gut mehr aus. Das kann ich euch dazu sagen. Sieht nicht so gut aus wie die Quest 2 leider.
Like, why the 5K headset again, like 1440p resolution? But you know, the technology, I mean, the limits in the current technology is that there are no 4K headsets or 4K displays which can render 180 or 160 hertz. But there are people out there who really want or need those 160 or 180 hertz. There are people who are playing on the monitors with 300 hertz, or is it even 360 or something like that?
Also er sagt, es gibt Leute, die wollen so eine hohe Bildwiederholrate, die wollen 180 Hertz und die spielen auch auf normalen Bildschirmen mit 300 Hertz.
For me, 75 Hertz was fully enough even for
Für
anybody.
Survivor waren 75
11
Hertz
tennis.
komplett in Ordnung.
The table tennis game,
Right.
that game benefited from the high refresh rate more than any other game I tried.
Absolutely. There is a big difference once you switch to a higher refresh
Ich habe
rate.
auch schon 11 Table Tennis damit gespielt und ja, es stimmt, es sieht gut aus.
Beat
aber
as well. Yeah, I remember when we were
Die
back
Frage
in,
ist, wie viel
Florida,
besser
when we
als
did
jetzt zum
the
Beispiel
show.
120 jetzt von der 5K Plus.
And,
Ich glaube,
I
die
think
wenigsten
there are
können das
people
wirklich
who
sehen,
could
aber
just
gut, sie haben
instantly
es
see the
jetzt halt.
difference between 160 and 180 hertz even. They could see the difference between those high refresh rates, which is quite amazing. I mean, I'm not able to do that, but there are people out there, and that's who the headset is for.
Hallo Zahn.
Maybe you don't
Oder
need
Chan.
the highest refresh rate.
Chan
Maybe
hätte gerne mal so ein
you don't
Headset.
have a RTX 38
Ist aber
or
wirklich
90,
teuer leider,
but
das
you still
stimmt.
wanna run your
Ist
VR
wirklich
games with
teuer.
with a really nice image quality. I mean, it's basically
It's $500 cheaper than an AKX, you know. And not only
exactly
that, it works with the KD mass.
right.
It works with our optical cable.
Yeah.
It works
Also
with-
Vulkanat
so
hat den
you
Unterschied
have
zwischen
basically
144 Hertz
all
und
the
90
things
Hertz
with it,
auf
and you
jeden
get
Fall
all the
gesehen. Ja,
benefits
glaube ich.
like ruggedized housing and all the other
Das
things
glaube
that
ich
are
dir.
part of the AKX in
Aber
the-
wie
in the
viel
Vision
Gewinn ist
5K
wohl
Super.
144
So,
zu
the other thing is, you know, we've been
160
working
bzw.
together with
180?
Amazon,
Glaube ich nicht mehr so viel.
and to make it a lot easier for
Hallo,
people to
Captain
buy.
Carajo.
Of course, you can still buy from the Pimax store, but if you want to get it really quick, you know, Amazon is the fastest way.
Absolutely.
So yeah, we got a new shipment of 5K Supers into Amazon. So
Okay, man kann die
hopefully,
5K
we
Super
can,
auch auf Amazon kaufen, jedenfalls in
you know,
Amerika.
we can keep doing that and keep that stock in there. A lot of people were complaining that the stock would only last a day or two once we got it into Amazon, and we're trying to do better with that and get more units in
Sie
there.
wollen also noch
So-
mehr von den Headsets bei
Yeah,
Amazon
so if you have
verkaufen.
a 5K plus
Ja,
or any
ist
other
besser, würde ich auch
headset
sagen.
where
Hallo
you're
Uwe.
fully satisfied with the resolution and you want a better refresh rate, better housing, better audio strap and many other things like all the improvements of the 5K Super. I think it's a great alternative, especially since it's so much cheaper than the 8KX, of course.
Yep.
Also ich
Let's,
finde ihre
let's talk
5K
a little
Super
bit
richtig gut.
about, one of the elephants in the room.
So, jetzt geht's weiter im nächsten Thema.
Sure. Why
How
not?
about the DMAS? Let's talk about the DMAS a little bit.
Und jetzt geht's ums
Yes,
DMAS,
the DMAS.
deren
Well,
Kopfhörer, deren besseren Kopfhörer,
yeah, here's the
auf
thing.
den sie schon sehr lange warten,
It's
sehr, sehr
in
lange.
progress right now, as it's been for quite a long time. We are currently working with a well-known audio company. We're not able to disclose the name of it, but it's a high-end
Also ist immer noch
audio
nicht da.
company which are doing a codec for our
Und sie
speakers.
kommen in die Testphase, jetzt sagen sie.
Our speakers are already running with the current Windows drivers and codecs, but we wanted to improve that. We wanted to fine-tune that. We wanted to make it a better experience. So this is one of the reasons. This is one of the reasons it's been delayed.
We should
Immer noch
probably mention
delayed,
that
leider, immer noch
we
nichts
actually
Neues. Und sie
completed
arbeiten
the
jetzt an
DMAS,
irgendein,
and we
sie,
produced some.
sie arbeiten
Yes.
And
mit
it
einem
went to
namhaften
testers.
Hersteller noch
And
an
one
dem
of the things we should
Audio-Codec. Das ist
mention
jetzt ihre
is,
neueste Ausrede, warum es immer noch nicht da
audio
ist.
subjective, you know,
Right.
and you know, some
Also
people love
leider
DMAS speakers, some people,
immer noch
you know,
keine
I'm surprised. I love it. I
DMAS,
think it's
Deluxe
great.
Modular Audio Straps.
But some people don't. They'll
Das
talk
sind die
about it,
Kopfhörer, auf
and
die
I'm
alle
just
warten. Das sind
big
diese,
question mark for me.
diese
It's
Kopfhörer, die über den
some of the
Ohren
best
schweben,
audio
wie bei der
The
Index.
KD Mass is great. I haven't seen even one person, I don't think, complain about the KD Mass. The S Mass, yeah, you get people who definitely think that the S Mass is low end audio.
Yeah.
But the D Mass,
Schade, immer noch kein DMAS.
I was surprised when I heard that one of our testers, didn't think so. So so it seems to me that so one of the things we want to do is we're going to create a program right after this show where we want to pick 10 people. So on the OpenMR forum, what we want to do is we want to enlist 10 people.
Sie starten ein neues
be
Programm.
testers. It'd be the
Und
prerequisite
sie
would
werden
be that you
10
need to be
Leute
somebody who already
einladen,
DMAS,
dieses Deluxe
Preferably
Audio
backers also.
Strap
I
zu
would approach
testen.
backers, of course.
who has a DMAS coming.
Yeah.
But 10 people
Ja, das wird auch keinem jetzt was bringen, glaube ich.
would like to test. Now, of course, it needs to be people willing to provide detailed feedback. need to be willing to give us some detailed
Also dieses
descriptions of
Zubehörteil,
different
ja,
types
ist
of
wieder so ein
audio
typischer
and different games and
Pimax.
different
Es
things.
dauert einfach zu
Uh,
lange.
and
Es
we
dauert
have
einfach
it
zu lange
available.
und ich weiß
We
nicht.
can ship them very quickly.
Die neueste Ausrede
And
ist jetzt halt,
if
sie
it's something
testen
that
einen
the
neuen Codec
average
jetzt.
person, especially if it's universal, or everybody who gets one just says it's the greatest thing since sliced bread, then we can go ahead.
Christian, ja, die
ship
Reverb
more.
G2 hat genau
We
dieselben
can go
Kopfhörer
ahead
wie die
and fill
Index,
them.
ganz genau.
But our team was worried that there's the chance that maybe something that people don't like about it. So
Right. I have to add that I do have an earlier sample of the DMAS since
awesome.
way back, since last year, and it's awesome. I'm just in love with it. I use it basically every time. Currently, it's the DKD-MAS on this headset, but usually I use the...
Also Sweeviver, ihm gefällt das Deluxe Modular Audio Strap
really good.
fantastisch.
And that's even without the codec, which we are working on right now, or the company's working on.
Yeah, that was the other thing we wanted to talk
Komisch,
about.
dass sie wegen einem Audio-Codec das Ganze nach hinten verlegen. Das verstehe ich nicht ganz, muss ich ganz ehrlich sagen.
It's an audio driver, and we're working with a fairly famous audio company on the driver.
Yeah.
And you can run it with or without that. You don't need it. But we want
Es
to
geht
know
immer noch um diesen
if
Audio-Codec,
you think it's
komischerweise.
required, if you think it's something that's important to have. Now, that
Repo
said,
hat einen
if
8KX
people
bestellt.
do give it
Scherz.
the seal of approval, the green stamp, we can start shipping them very, very quickly. We have
Also
a
Sie
pretty
können sie
good,
bald ausliefern, ja, sehr schnell,
ability
sagt
to
er.
move on that very fast.
Yeah.
But we want to do it once we feel comfortable with what we've
Also es geht jetzt
developed.
angeblich
So-
nur
We
um
wanna
diesen
succeed
Audio-Codec.
with this
Yeah.
mass.
We want it to be the best audio you've ever heard, and we want it to rise
Sie wollen das
flagship
beste Audio
audio, and we wanna
machen,
make
was
sure
es
that
jemals
it is
gegeben hat.
in the average
Und
person's
deswegen
eyes.
arbeiten sie jetzt nochmal
So-
dran.
So that's where we're going. I would also add that people that get in with us with the beta programs, not just on this, we're going to talk about some other betas.
Wuffel,
stuff
das
in a
könnte
minute,
natürlich
but,
sein.
um,
Das könnte natürlich sein.
But basically the bottom line
Genau,
is,
Vulkanat, soon,
if
TM.
you turn out to be a good, tester, hey, it could lead to testing other things. We've got some of the, future things coming down the line, some of the
Yeah.
best stuff on the planet.
Oh yeah.
And so we hope, if you can be a good quality tester and give us some really strong feedback on what, what we can
Blizzardo,
do
ich
to
bin auch
improve
sehr
and,
gespannt,
so on and
ob es
so
dann im
forth.
Endeffekt
You
besser
you
ist
might
als
be
bei der
able to
Index
get
oder bei der
your hands on
G2.
some
Denn der Sound von der
amazing
Index und der
things.
G2 ist
over
fantastisch.
time.
I totally agree. That sounds great. It sounds really promising, and yeah, I'm myself. I'm waiting for the new, latest, basically the final version of the DMAS, and yeah, me together with the other testers are gonna do some heavy testing, and hopefully we can.
But just real quick, maybe it's worth mentioning all the things that we have completed this year in a very difficult year where most of China was shut down for 6
Also
months.
jetzt
The entire supply
redet
chain
Kevin Henderson
was
darüber, was sie
shut
alles
down
geschafft
for
haben in
7.5
diesem Jahr,
months,
obwohl Corona am
And,
Start war.
You had some even now, the reason that companies are not releasing new hardware products is for that.
Und er meint,
only a handful of companies are releasing phones.
Hardware-Produkte werden momentan nicht wirklich ausgeliefert, immer noch wegen Corona.
I mean, think about it. We released the hand tracking, the eye tracking, the 8KX. We released the MAS, the S-MAS, and the KD-MAS, and we did all the backer boxes.
Yeah.
To
That's quite a lot.
all the backers. We shipped. We've completed dozens.
Also er meint, sie haben schon wirklich viele Sachen dieses Jahr ausgeliefert.
Almost our entire baseline roadmap for PyTool, which included the backlight control, the intensity control, the refresh rates. We've been talking about. We finished 90 hertz on the 8KX. Think about it. We did all of this in a 1 year span. So we're moving on down the road when it comes to being able to release these things in a much more timely manner.
Right.
And we've also avoided.
Ich glaube, wir sind bereit fürs nächste Thema, oder? Kurz mal Ja sagen, wenn ihr meint, wir können jetzt ruhig mal zum nächsten Thema gehen.
A lot of the things that
Hallo Tasmania.
in the past we would have been bringing up in a show like this. We want to get it a lot closer to the time when it's going to ship.
Indeed.
So
and our goal is
Ja, ne?
to
Sampler und Brucey
bring out
Juicy.
everything we have promised, of course. That's the main goal. The entire team of Pimax is working hard on that. That's for sure. So there's
Genau.
nothing that's going to be left behind.
Wir können ruhig
Nobody's gonna be
jetzt
left behind.
weitergehen.
And we're still updating. Heck, we even updated, put a firmware update out for the old Pimax 4K 2 months ago.
Right.
The thing's 4 years old and more
Yeah.
than 4 years old.
Yeah.
And 5 years old, and we're still putting firmware updates out for it and software out for it and things. So
Yeah. Same.
people with the 5K plus all the way to 144 hertz.
Sure.
And they got we backported all the things like the backlight.
Okay, jetzt geht es
controls
darum,
and
dass sie
system
auch
controls and the
die
individual
alte
IPG
Pimax
for
4K
eye
sogar noch
and all that.
abgedatet haben.
It goes all the way back.
Ja,
So
nächstes Thema. Jetzt bitte.
I think we've come a long way, especially since you and I started.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely.
Different company. It's a different world.
It's an awesome journey, and I hope it's. And I'm sure that it's actually going to get even more exciting very soon. Now,
It really is. We wish we could go down some of those paths.
we'll wait for that. All right, Kevin, let's move on to the next topic.
Das nächste
I want
Thema.
to talk a
So.
little bit about the hand
Okay.
tracking and the
Handtracking und Eye-Tracking
which
Module.
are both available to purchase.
Kann man beides kaufen?
And yes, there's been some issues with the
Es gab
eye-tracking
Probleme mit
in
dem
the past.
Eye-Tracking.
We had some firmware issues, we had some software issues. Now, as far as I can see at least, and from the input I get from people, it's getting more and more refined. It's getting
Aber
better,
jetzt
and
ist es
most of the
angeblich
people had it working
besser
now,
und
and
für die meisten Leute funktioniert es jetzt auch, sagt er.
really coming into how do you say, into like what we were expecting it to be from start, specifically the 7 events eye tracking. Now
Also, Sie sind jetzt zufrieden
they
damit?
improved the camera refresh rate recently, so it does do 120 Hertz.
Die können jetzt
And,
120
they
Hertz.
also
100%
together, right,
improvement in the refresh rate.
right.
So
And also together with the PyTool team, they were working hard on the DFR, or the dynamic forwarded rendering, the accuracy of it and the speed of it.
Und das
and the
Ganze kann
latency
Dynamic
as
Forwarded
little as
Rendering.
possible. That's constantly being worked on, basically in every PyTool update and in every firmware of the eye tracking software. Or
all sorts of
modules.
things. I mean, even things like detecting blinks,
Yeah,
knowing when to, when it loses tracking from a blink,
yeah,
being able to adjust for that, and a lot of other technical things
right.
that affect the white balance control or detect in real time.
Dynamic
or
Forwarded
detects,
Rendering ist
where
natürlich
your
wirklich
iris and
spannend,
where
dass
your
man
pupil is.
das wirklich
All
nur
of
dort
these things
gerendert wird,
are
wo man
part of these
hinschaut.
updates. So it's not
Das
just
ist
high
definitiv eine
refresh
spannende
rate.
Sache.
It's more accurate. It can detect the color difference, the delta between the colors.
Yeah.
It can do a lot of things that it wasn't possible before with the blink detection and a lot of other things. So
Right.
we think, but we know, but just for the record, we know that it's still more work to do on that, and a lot more work to do on that. We still have a
Aber es
lot
gibt
of
noch
improvements
viele
we wanna make to
Dinge,
it.
die man
We're
da noch
working with 7
verbessern
events
kann
on
und
to
muss.
do that.
Und sie arbeiten
every
noch
day.
an ihrem Augentracking-Modul.
And so if you do have the eye tracking, I would highly recommend that you download the latest version of the firmware and the latest
Also,
version
wenn
of
ihr,
the
wenn ihr das
software that we
Eye-Tracking-Modul
have.
habt, dann ladet euch die
And
neueste
test
Version
it.
runter und testet es mal
And of course,
aus.
we're gonna continue
Ist jetzt
to
halt
release
besser
newer
geworden,
versions
sagen
of
sie.
it.
Right.
And the same thing with the hand tracking. Recently, the Gemini
Und auch das Handtracking ist besser
was released for
geworden.
the hand tracking, which vastly improves the accuracy of the finger tracking, and it lets you have overlapping
Ist jetzt genauer
fingers, where you
und man kann
where you
die
can
Finger
have hands
überlappen
like this,
und trotzdem
and
funktioniert es.
it'll detect which side it's on.
Right. Right.
Something it didn't do very well before.
Right. Yeah, it's a
That's a
massive
small
improvement. I mean,
Yeah.
hand tracking improvement is massive. I tested it.
Also
just a
Handtracking
couple
soll
of
jetzt
days
viel
ago. I
besser
did some
sein.
recordings. As you can see here, it's really I won't say it's perfect, but it's way better than it was.
Also ist noch nicht perfekt,
And
aber
you can
viel
also
besser
put
als
your hands
vorher.
Further away from your headset, and it's still going to track well. Especially the how do you say the frequency, or is it the refresh rate of the cameras is improved as well, as far as as far as I know, and you can really
the
tell that.
FOV is very high when you use the hand tracking on a Pimax headset. You actually get the highest FOV on the hand tracking because you can still see your hands.
Yes.
When your hands are outside the FOV of the headset, if you've got a headset that's only 80 or 90 degrees,
Sure.
and your hands
Sure.
are way out, you can't
Right.
see them anyway.
Yeah.
So the Pimax makes hand tracking vastly better. So we have a
Also
project
Eye-Tracking,
which
Firmware
we're
und Software
working on,
verbessert
some,
und
OEMs
auch
of our project,
Hand-Tracking,
getting this new
Software
Gemini
verbessert.
together with the Pimax that's at one of our modules, which are only,
Ich denke, als
are inexpensive.
nächstes
What do they sell for, like $149?
sollten die Controller dran
Something like
sein,
that,
Yeah.
die
It's
Schwertcontroller, die
inexpensive.
Sword-Controller.
You
Das
get
ist
the
mal
full field of view,
ein
and you get a
Thema, was
lot
mich
better
persönlich wirklich
distance
interessiert.
on
Und da
seeing
bin
where
ich
your
echt mal
hands are
gespannt,
in the field.
was sie so bringen.
It's so difficult to
Yeah.
use your hands in like an 80-degree field of view where you got to keep your hands exactly in front of you.
Exactly. Yeah.
And with us, you can get it way out here.
Yeah.
You know,
It is 170 degrees field of view. I mean, that's what's
it's actually
advertised,
got
and
a
that's
greater
what.
field of view. Actually, it's 200 degrees on the overlapping cameras on
Sure.
the
Yeah.
hand track. It's wider than our headsets.
So.
are
Yeah.
horizontal.
That's
Lasst
quite
uns zum
amazing,
nächsten
yeah.
Thema kommen.
Yeah.
So, right. I mean, there's no real huge news about the hand tracking, maybe, or eye tracking, but the news is that it's working better than ever, which
We
is,
would just recommend that if you do have them,
yeah.
Also wenn ihr Hand-Tracking oder Eye-Tracking habt, dann auf jeden Fall
Especially
neue
the
Firmware
Gemini
drauf
5
spielen
update for the hand
und
tracking,
dann
and also
läuft
the
das alles
latest
besser.
firmware update for the eye tracking, and also the AC software, which is brought by 7
very
Invention.
few people have updated their software for the hand tracking and the eye tracking.
Yeah,
And if you have them, we would highly encourage you to do so.
right,
Yeah,
right.
it's free.
Definitely.
And it gives you some really nice benefits. So
Yeah, definitely. Hey, Kevin, how about
Yep.
talking about the sword controller?
Jetzt geht's los mit den Schwertcontrollern. Jawohl,
Yeah.
das ist spannender.
Isn't
Sword
awesome?
set.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But there is also a small elephant inside here in this room, actually, in my
Sure.
little.
Show 'em.
Yeah.
What do you-
I'm gonna show.
Da ist er.
This is.
what's this?
It's kind of like a developer kit of the.
Das ist
of
das
the
Developer-Kit
Pimax sword controller.
des Schwertcontrollers.
Now, I'm gonna show you some footage in a second about this.
Und wir
but
gucken
I've
uns
been
gleich ein
using
Video
it
an.
For almost a week now.
Und der Sweaver hat es
I
seit
can
einer Woche
tell you that
probiert,
even though it
getestet.
does not include all the features yet, it's still super promising. The comfort, first of all,
Also
is
er meint, es hat super Potenzial,
really better than I was expecting it to be.
fühlt sich gut an
I
vom
mean,
Komfort an, sagt er.
I cannot really complain about the comfort of the Valve Index controllers, but these Pimax sword controllers are really nice in my hand. At least in my hand, it just feels perfect. It kind of
Also
reminds
in
me a
seiner
little bit
Hand
of the Oculus
fühlen sie sich
controllers as well.
gut
They're a
an.
little smaller, just fits in your hand perfectly. It's just like there's no hesitation of how you're
Ja
holding
genau,
it, no?
Trackpad.
You don't have
Also
to
diese
adjust it,
Version
you
möchte
just-
ich echt
once
nicht
you put
haben
it
mit
on
dem
your hand, it
Trackpad.
just
Ich
sits
würde es
there.
natürlich austesten,
The
aber
great thing is,
ich
that
möchte
these
Thumbstick
are
und Buttons haben. Was meint
models
ihr?
that fully operate, where,
Ich habe sie
you
mal
can pair 'em up
ausprobiert auf der CES
You know,
und mir haben sie
and
auch
one thing,
gefallen. Also vom Handling her, aber in Action habe ich sie noch nicht probiert. Aber Trackpad möchte ich echt nicht haben. Wie sieht es bei euch aus? Möchtet ihr noch einen Controller haben, wo kein Thumbstick mehr drauf ist? Bitte mir kurz mal sagen. Ja, in Blau gefallen mir die auch nicht so gut, das stimmt.
It reminds me a little bit of the HTC Vive 2.0 I mean, housing, but it's still more cozy.
Sticks mit
know,
Buttons, ne?
it's hard to tell.
Genau.
Yeah,
Wer
of
möchte
course,
Sticks
like
mit Buttons? Einmal Sticks mit Buttons schreiben.
Right.
You can just change that battery. It uses a very common camera battery. And,
Yes, it's the
so
MP.
Ja, sind wir uns einig, ne?
MPX1,
Sony.
Wir
It's a
wollen
Sony battery from Sony,
Stick.
but you can of course buy
You got-
third-party batteries really cheap, which are really good actually. I have a whole bunch of
Okay,
these
das
batteries
ist
at home.
ganz
I was
cool.
recording
Also
this
man kann die
video, which you're
Batterien
looking
einfach
at now.
austauschen.
And I used some of my
Das
camera
ist ganz
batteries,
nett.
which were third party, and it lasts. Feels like it lasts forever. You know, it's really.
Das finde ich echt
nice.
nicht schlecht. Ja? Man
And
kann
especially
aufladen
the thing
und
that
man
you
kann die
can
Batterie
easily charge these batteries.
einfach
Let's say,
wechseln, wenn man
of course you
möchte.
can
Das
charge
ist
them
ganz
from the
cool.
controller itself, but you can
Aber
also
trotzdem,
charge
wir
the
brauchen einen Stick mit
batteries
Buttons. Das ist
separate
das ist der
from the
Punkt, ne?
On Amazon, for instance, you can get like 3 or 4 of these batteries, including a charger for all 3 or 4 batteries for like $25, which means you can also always have 4 batteries available to just plug in, and it takes like, what is it, 5 seconds to switch the
Yeah.
battery? It's super easy,
Not
as you
even.
see here.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a unique
Yeah.
it's a unique feature. I mean, I guess Pimax is the only company that does this right now.
As far as I know.
And the hatch
Stimmt,
for the
Wolfgang, kann man auch bei
battery
Oculus
is,
austauschen.
is
Das finde ich auch
actually
gut.
magnetic.
Nur bei,
So it
da kann man
doesn't-
nicht die
That's
wieder
two
aufladen,
uses
wenn man
double A.
möchte. Also direkt im Controller, ne? Hier geht das.
Yeah. course, it just dies and you have to replace it outright, but it lasts a long time. That's a really nice thing about the Quest 2, right? Is how long the batteries
Ja,
last.
stimmt, die Buttons. Guck mal, wie er zurückgehen muss mit dem Daumen, um den unteren zu erreichen. Der untere Button sieht sehr weit entfernt aus. Zu weit entfernt. Oder?
Yeah.
Guck mal, wie er runtergehen muss, um den unteren Button zu erreichen.
This does allow us to have bundles with our own controller.
Right.
And people should kind of think about
Komisches
it.
Button-Layout, oder?
The more competition,
Der untere.
the better. You don't want the
Was
Valve
meint ihr
Index
dazu?
controller to be the only controller out there in the world that you can use for Steam VR. There does need to be some competition in that field, I think.
Yeah.
So this will allow us to compete with that and create some bundles with our different headset combinations, and so that means that you'll get be able to get the headset, the controllers, the strap, the audio, which will be the KD-Mass, the D-Mass. You'll be able to have the full package,
Right.
and have a little bit of price control over it.
Right. The controller you see right now, as I'm showing here, is the Pimax Sword controller. Now, you may have noted that this developer kit sample does not have the hand strap around your hand just like the Valve Index.
Ach ja,
But it
stimmt.
will do. It will include that, of course.
Also hier fehlt
Now,
noch
they are
hier
actually-
diese Schlaufe für die
Pimax
Hände.
is actually currently shipping that
Aber
to me
ich
because
verstehe das nicht mit dem
they had
Trackpad,
to
echt
adjust
nicht.
a little bit of the
Also ich
hinges
möchte
of that
wirklich
thing,
keinen
so they couldn't ship it
Trackpad-Controller
together,
in
but
2021.
it is gonna
Das ist
include
wirklich so
the strap
2016.
And yes, there will also be other models of the Pimax Sword controllers because some people might not really like the touchpads. I do. I prefer touchpads many
Ja,
times.
also Sweetwater findet Touchpad besser als Thumbstick,
Specifically because they last longer, I think. I
aber
mean,
er
I've
meint,
had so many
es wird
issues
auch
with the,
Versionen
Valve
mit dem
Index
Thumbstick
controller. I
geben.
had
Okay, immerhin.
No, 4 pairs. So it's 8 controllers actually of the Valve Index, and 4 of them are broken. Now the thumbstick is broken. No, I'm not going to throw any trash on the Valve Index here, but still, it's I think that there are many things that are really good about touchpads.
Gibt es
Specifically
einen
when
von
it's
euch
small,
hier,
you wanna
der
use
hier
certain
zuschaut, der
applications,
Trackpad besser findet
it
als
does
Thumbstick?
make,
Bitte einmal ganz kurz
a
melden.
difference using a touchpad instead of
Weil ich glaube
thumbstick.
echt nicht, dass viele Leute
But that doesn't
ein
mean we won't have one in the
Thumbpad
future
besser
that does have
finden
that.
als ein
Yeah,
Thumbstick.
Exactly. Now the current progress is, I'm going to bring up the graphics in a moment. The current progress is that the Pimax team is working on implementing the capacitive sensors for the finger tracking.
Yeah, let's
right
talk
now.
about CapSense a little bit.
CapSense, right?
Yeah.
Nee, keiner,
so
ne? Ja.
What he has there is a kind of a hybrid for testing.
Yes.
So so for testing, we have the CapSense, which is something people probably don't know. We have the CapSense in the Sword, but the Sword Sense will also have CapSense, of course. But whether or not the CapSense winds up in the regular Sword is something we'll have to think about, right? But the Sword Sense will have it, in the future. But
Right.
But yeah, we're going to be
Jetzt ging es um
experimenting
Finger-Tracking
with the different configurations of the hardware.
und ja, also hier
But
ist
this will
das
be
nicht
the first
drin
one we release.
mit dem
The one that he
kapazitiven
has right now, the one
Touch-Controllern.
we're showing is from the full tools, and it's the family tool, the production tool for the hardware. So.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is something
Also
that
meiner
we've
Meinung
moved
nach
along
bräuchten sie
a
den
great
mit
deal
dem
on.
Trackpad nicht
And
produzieren.
it's something
Also
that we'll be
ganz
able
ehrlich,
to, that we're going to try to
ich glaube wirklich,
get
die
out there,
allermeisten wollen
pretty
Thumbsticks
quick.
haben jetzt.
We'll probably in the near future be able to throw out some dates,
Indeed. Yeah.
but not at this show. But
Also leider bekommen wir
maybe
kein
at the next
Datum, wann die
show we can
rauskommen.
Start talking about some dates.
Schade.
Yeah. The shows are going to come more regularly from now on. also,
Keine-
so there's gonna be more things
Keine
happening and
Release-Daten,
announced and
nix.
such, so.
Aber sie sagen vielleicht
Yeah,
in der
I
nächsten
recommend
Show,
all of you
vielleicht
to
in einem
stay
Monat,
tuned.
können sie
There's
vielleicht ein
gonna
bisschen
be a
mehr
lot
dazu
about
sagen.
it, especially
Also ich muss sagen, ich
software
bin
as well.
nicht
Now, as
so
you can see,
gespannt
it
auf diesen
uses,
hier. Echt nicht.
USB-C, input, which
Gar
is good.
nicht.
It's charging the batteries
Mit
way
Thumbstick wäre es
faster
was
than
anderes,
USB
aber
or micro USB,
nee.
which
Trackpad
controllers
ist
are
so
still using
2016,
today.
wirklich.
And yeah, I mean, I'm so far what I've seen and so far what I've tried, of the Pimax Sword controller. I'm super excited about the final product. It's although I have not been able to test the capacitive sensors yet, but the tracking itself is just perfect. There was no problems whatsoever with
Also
the
Tracking ist kein Problem,
The
sagt er.
comfort is just awesome, I would say. The comfort is one of the best, or maybe the best, for my hands at least. I mean, I know it's all individual, but
Also er ist der
it's
Meinung,
really
der
comfortable.
Komfort
The
ist richtig
materials as
gut.
well. And the buttons, because I mean, some of you might think back, it might be cheap buttons and stuff. They are not really. They're really nice buttons. Pimax has learned their lessons, or we have
Rotator,
learned the
genau.
lesson.
Spezielle
It's neat
Akkus.
to have production versions of the,
Aber es sah
production
sehr nach
samples
einem
Ja.
in our hand,
Standard
Right.
Akku aus, den man nur
there's something
damals so
that,
in Handys hatte.
that's kind of an indicator of how long it's going to take from this point on.
Yeah, and comparing it to the Valve Index, for instance, I mean, from first glance it looks bigger, but it feels smaller. I mean, the whole controller itself is smaller, of course.
Also ich glaube,
But
den
but the thing
Controller
is that
ohne
that
Thumbstick,
bow
den wird sich
or
keiner
the
kaufen. Kann ich mir
arch,
echt nicht
right,
vorstellen. Wenn man sich
with
dann,
the,
dann
sensors,
lieber,
it
wenn man
never
dann auch sowas wie
feels
einen
like
Valve
it's
Index
in
Controller
my way
kaufen
or
kann,
anything. It's
kann ich
like
mir
it's not
echt nicht
there at
vorstellen.
all. And I don't really see the problem of it going around the whole controller like that. So yeah, I'm a huge fan of that, and I was actually not expecting that, because we've been waiting quite long for these, and I'm back on myself. I was back in number 2. Maybe you remember that. I ordered. I mean,
Too. Yeah.
Yeah, I pledged the whole kit and then another headset as well separately. But I've been waiting for these and almost gave up on it. But now when I
So
see it,
they're going to count this one as one of yours.
I hope not. I hope. No, seriously, it works. But I need. Yeah, you know what I mean.
Sie haben keine eigene Base
Yeah,
Stations, nein.
So anyway, Pimax Sword, yes, it's in progress, and also we might have mentioned it already, or did we? That we are going to send upcoming test samples.
Yes, let's do that.
Sie schicken
So,
Test-Samples
We're create a program
an Becker.
similar to the DMAS that we can start doing right away.
Ich habe irgendwie das Gefühl, nicht an mich, aber ich würde sie natürlich gerne
In
testen.
the coming days, we're going to pick 10 people.
Sie werden 10 Leute sich aussuchen.
And probably ones that have already ordered them that
Und zwar von Leuten, die das Gerät schon gekauft haben.
These are just prototypes.
Yes.
But
Und an
we
die
wanna
werden
find
die
out
gehen.
from a wider audience what people think of these and how well they like them, and if there's any glaring things they don't like about them. But we're going to create a program where we pick 10 people, and where we'll go ahead and get their controllers to them, just like we're doing with the DMAS. Get the DMASs to them.
Okay, also 10 Leute bekommen die Controller
You have to have a Pimax. You have to have,
und die testen die dann für die und geben ihnen Feedback, ganz genau wie bei dem DMAS.
As well. Of course, they do work with HTC Vive or Valve Index and stuff. But yeah.
And we do have some different variants of it that we can produce. So you would be testing more than one version of it.
Right.
But the bottom line is we want to go ahead and start shipping these to people to test.
Yeah.
And so people that want to do that, definitely contact us on Open.
Also, wenn ihr die testen wollt, dann könnt ihr mit denen in Kontakt treten und vielleicht gehört ihr ja zu den 10 Leuten,
which is Pimax USA on OpenMR,
die austesten können.
And make the request, and then we'll pass it along to the engineering team, and get you signed up. I imagine probably more than 10 people want to do this, but
oh yeah.
Last time we opened something like this up, we had a huge number, but yeah, it's the same thing. Once you get into testing these things, it's a good thing. It opens up future cool things on the table for testing.
Also meiner Meinung nach ist hier die blaue Farbe auch sehr gewöhnungsbedürftig. Mir würden die in Schwarz doch besser gefallen. Wie sieht's bei euch aus?
Position or anything.
No.
But we're just looking for enthusiasm and to do the testing and provide some nice reports. And just know that when you provide us a high quality report, it benefits everybody.
If you're happy, then we are happy, of course.
Yeah. You get to have kind of a hand in.
Es geht immer noch um die 10 Leute, die das bekommen werden.
Yeah.
It's kind of an altruistic thing to be a tester, but it can be a really good thing, for everyone to give us some good quality feedback. And we do have people already that give that, of course, but we need to expand our horizons when it comes to that. So some people will get the DMS, and some people will get their sword controllers, but it'll be a limited amount, and it'll be for a test.
Right, absolutely. Okay, Kevin, let's jump to the next topic. I think we're
Das nächste
done
Thema.
with the controllers for now.
Das nächste Thema
By
hier.
the way, I'll mention that I am watching the live chat. I can see your questions in there. I suggest that you save your questions, people that are watching, to the end. We're gonna open up. We will open up.
Sie werden später auch noch Fragen beantworten.
Q&A. We've got a couple more sections left.
Hallo Buddy,
to go
wie
through,
geht's?
but, after that, we'll open it up and I'll read your questions, and then either Martin or I will make a stab at answering, whatever you got. So just kind of think about what your question is going to be, and then hit us with it at the end.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the Pimax experience a little bit.
Yes.
Jetzt geht's um die Pimax Experience, und zwar die Software von denen.
Following the whole development, we have come quite far now. Now, I gotta admit, first of all, the last couple of months, Armin Norozi, or Art Armin, which his company is called, he's been the one who's been working basically 80-90% of all the progress that has been made lately. I've been busy with other stuff, and so he's.
We might throw out there, Martin's a father now.
I am. I actually forgot to add a photo of Christopher, my son.
Wow, Martin Zwieweiber ist jetzt Vater geworden. Das sind mal gute Neuigkeiten.
He disappeared, and we don't see him as much, and his presence isn't there as much. Well, there's a reason for that. Being a new dad is quite a thing.
I've been recovering.
Das sind ja mal interessante Neuigkeiten.
It's in the 7th week, almost 8 weeks old. Christopher is his name, and now it's getting better now because it was really, really an exhausting time. So I've been off for a while, but Armin, on the other hand, has been working a lot, especially on the server. Especially on the server side of the Pimax VR Experience.
Aber jetzt geht es hier um die Pimax Experience. Das ist deren Software. Und hier geht es jetzt um Cloud-Profile.
We have a whole bunch of contributors, which I'm really thankful for, that you're helping out creating those profiles for the games. And and soon we're also going to move on to the phase 2, which I'm going to talk about in a second. But first of all, if you haven't heard about the cloud profile thing, it's the whole thing about the cloud profile thing is that the Pimax VR Experience can automatically adjust and set the optimized settings.
Okay, das ist natürlich wirklich nicht schlecht. Ja, das heißt, ohne irgendwas konfigurieren zu müssen, werden die besten Konfigurationen für das Spiel aus der Cloud runtergeladen und dann auf eure Pimax angewandt. Das ist definitiv gut.
Command lines, even a config file if that's possible. I mean, in games like Half-Life Alyx, you can use command lines and other tweaks. Now, all of that will be hosted on a server, which Armin is currently hosting and is working really hard on this. And as you can see in the video flow here, we already have this running with a limited amount of games. Currently only about, 50, 60 games or something.
Also bei 50 bis 60 Spielen funktioniert das schon mit den Cloud-Profilen, aber sie arbeiten noch an weiteren. Und sie sind ja noch in der ersten Phase. Aber in Zukunft soll alles einfach nur automatisch funktionieren, was auf jeden Fall cool ist. Und Sumenabi, du hast die DKG auch vorbestellt. Cool.
If you turn on the cloud profile, then you will be able to automatically just start your games without doing any tweaks. But currently you cannot change these profiles, which you will do in phase 2.
We probably should throw out there that if anybody, there are a lot of experts out there on tweaking PyTool settings, and tweaking Pimax settings. We would encourage you to contact me or Armin or Martin about if you want to sign up to create profiles. we're adding people to make the online profiles. And remember, it's the same thing. You make a nice one, it benefits everybody. So
Yeah.
if there's a game, especially if there's a game that's not, or a group of games that's not supported.
Also, wenn
that you
ihr
know
euer
about,
Lieblingsspiel
you're
auch
real good
optimieren
at
wollt, und das
optimizing
ist
it,
vielleicht
you
noch
know
nicht
all
in
the
diesen
little secrets.
Cloud-Profilen, dann könnt ihr ihnen auch helfen
We're
und
very
diese
interested in
Cloud-Profile
adding
für
a
Pimax
wider
erstellen.
variety than the 50 games or 60 games we have on there now.
Oh
We
yeah.
want to hundreds of games on
We can
there.
make it thousands of games, of course.
Thousands of games.
And especially since the cloud profiles are currently already, every profile has 3 different modes. So you have a default mode, you have a more optimized speed mode, and you also have like a quality mode, which whichever you choose, you get better performance, or you get better image quality, or you get the balanced default mode. Now, this is currently all being made in the background, in the in the cloud, on the server. I'm going to show you the graphical slide here again. In phase 2, which Armin is working hard on right now, among other things like graphical improvements, he's redoing the whole UI right now. It's amazing. The phase 2 will also
Im April kommt die zweite Phase von diesen Cloud-Profilen. Und dann kann man diese Profile auch verändern. Momentan geht das noch nicht. Und man kann seine eigenen Profile in die Cloud hochladen. Ja, genau.
You just do that instantly in VR. So when you find some good settings, you just upload it. Of course, there's going to be a way.
Also definitiv ein Schritt in die richtige Richtung, finde ich, dass man weniger konfigurieren muss. Und ja, das ist definitiv gut.
You can't have 50 profiles for one combination of hardware and software. So you've got to have a way to bubble those.
Yes.
But
absolutely, and also a voting system, which is also in the works, which will allow you to vote on the best profiles. Let's say the Half-Life Alyx will have like 10 different profiles.
Und es gibt noch ein Voting-System, also man kann abstimmen, was das beste Profil ist, was hochgeladen wurde. Also die haben schon gute Ideen da. Das ist definitiv cool.
Which is the one that people mostly prefer. So that's some of the things, and I would like to personally thank Armin once again for doing all the great work. He's amazing, and have in mind he's doing this for free right now. Pimax, he's not employed by Pimax as I am, and if you want to support him, please do so on his Patreon, patreon.com/artarmin. He really deserves that. Now,
we're working on the IPD adjustment tool too, so that's another thing.
Yes, exactly. I was about to say that we're working on the IPD adjustment. It's kind of like a wizard. So it's gonna give you a few images, and you're gonna tweak.
Und was es auch noch geben wird in der Pimax VR Experience ist der IPD Setup Wizard. Und dann wird man verschiedenste Bilder sehen und da kann man dann sein IPD perfekt einstellen.
Pimax VR Experience. I can already hear that when Kevin says that.
Und das Ganze kommt im April 21.
We are aiming now during April. It might be even early in April. We'll see. We're still tweaking some stuff with that.
Phase 2 cloud profiles. Try to get to the IPD adjustment all in April.
Yeah. So there's going to be a lot of things happening in April and onwards with the cloud system, and also there will be other features as well in the Pimax VR Experience. This is not it.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, we can just. Yeah, we have a huge list, and we will
also sieht definitiv gut aus hier, die Pimax VR Experience.
Bi-weekly or something live streams.
It does check for updates now. I mean, that's one of the features you recently added was checking for updates, so that it'll tell you when there's a new version of the Pimax Experience, rather than just having to check OpenMR every 5 seconds to see if something new is out there for you.
Yeah, and it also, if you click on it, you can update it, and you can download it, install it, and restart Pimax VR Experience automatically for you. So you don't even have to leave VR just to get the latest version.
Und man kann jetzt die VR Experience automatisch updaten lassen. Das war vorher nicht der Fall.
As soon as you start the Pimax VR Experience, whichever version you have, as long as it's one of the latest ones, it's automatically connected to this cloud. Checks for new profiles. If they have been updated, it downloads the profiles for you for those games you have on your computer, of course, not all of the games. Okay.
But for those of you out there that don't know what this is, maybe we should real quick just kind of throw out, just, if you're running a Pimax headset right now, and you have PyTool installed, and by the way, most recent version of PyTool is version 270.
Yes.
So if you're not using the Pimax experience together with PyTool, now they have to operate together. You have to have both.
Yeah.
You can't just have one. You can't install the Pimax experience by itself. You have to have PyTool. They work as a pair.
Die Pimax VR Experience muss zusammen mit der PyTool-Software installiert werden. Und er meint, auf jeden Fall die Pimax VR Experience installieren.
It does a lot of settings, adjustments for Steam VRs, configuration files. It does a ton of stuff. And it makes
Sie finden sie gut.
far better.
Yeah, you can launch any game directly from VR. I mean, optimized as you wish. You can customize every game. You can create favorites. You can do your own profiles. You even have a virtual desktop now where you can use up to 3 monitors at the same time, rearrange them, and just do your work in VR.
Yep.
Like in a free application, basically. It's not like the virtual desktop, which costs like, what is it, 10 or 20 bucks. It's just free.
Get it for nothing. Yeah. But yeah, there's so much there, and there's so many features there. It's very rich. You can adjust your colors, you can adjust your backlight, you can do everything from inside VR. Versus before, we have to take the headset off and you make your adjustments, and then you put it back on and go into some test it. You don't have to do any of that anymore.
Yeah.
So my suggestion is, if you download the latest version of PyTool, which is version 270.
Yeah.
The version 270 is the very first version that has a download button for the Pimax experience inside it.
Right, yes.
You can just, and we're going to talk a little bit more about PyTool 270 in a minute.
Yes.
But
Also,
the thing about it is that
es gibt eine neue PyTool-Version und da ist zum ersten Mal auch ein Button drin, wo man die Pimax Experience mit einem Button-Klick installieren kann.
You just click a button and it puts it on there for you. So
yeah, actually, I totally forgot.
Not that. We highly recommend that you try it out. It's great.
Absolutely. You find that under settings and the general under the tab. I totally forgot to make a short clip about that. That was supposed to be in the
later. We'll add a little blurb.
Yeah, also talking about videos, there will be many different videos coming up on the Pimax YouTube channel, also some of on the Survivor channel as well, especially tutorials and step-by-step guides. We are starting to work on that hard now because we feel that people need that. There are cases where it's just much easier and much more time, efficient to just show a short video on how to maybe set up your base station, how to pair your controllers, how to change your IPD and all that stuff. So there's going to be a lot of these content coming on both the YouTube channel of Pimax, the website of Pimax, in the forums, on Reddit, and all these places, and also including the Survivor YouTube channel, which you maybe as well. Are you watching now?
Another thing to talk about would be future collaborations on PyTool, on Pimax experience.
Yes.
For the month of April, we want to look into expanding the team, and if there's anyone out there who is a programmer, especially a Unity programmer, who wants to contribute to the Pimax experience.
Also, wenn ihr Unity-Programmierer seid und da mitmachen wollt bei der Pimax VR Experience, dann könnt ihr euch jetzt bei ihnen melden und vielleicht gemeinsam mit Pimax dran arbeiten.
I suggest they reach out to Martin or Armin, and mention that your interest in it, and then they'll share the project with you. They're going to be the decision makers on who we want a smooth team, a team that works well together, and we want a team that can get a lot of things done.
Sure.
It'll be up to them who is added. But if you're out there and you know Unity and you want to add to the Pimax experience, we definitely would like to add more star power to the to the team, and more ideas are always a great thing, and the more the merrier when it comes to this stuff. So
absolutely,
we definitely want to bring in some help into the Pimax experience. So if you're interested in that, please let one of us know, and then we'll look into getting you in there.
Sure.
It's something If it's something that you're excited about, the same thing.
Also
And of course,
nochmal,
we
wenn
wanna
ihr
we would also
Unity-Programmierer
add
seid und da
if you have a
mithelfen
project
wollt, meldet euch bei ihnen und dann könnt ihr da mitmachen.
that you think would benefit from some of the features in the Pimax experience.
Yes.
Meaning, so if you have a project that needs a launcher, or a project that needs auto configuration, if you have a
Right.
project that can benefit from, there's a ton of features in the Pimax experience, from virtual desktop all the way down through adjusting colors and a million other things.
Especially
But
since Pimax has a large, wide field of view, and it has some specific. I mean, we have accessories like hand tracking and eye tracking. We can
already supports hand
customize
tracking.
all that.
Yeah, the Pimax experience, when you have the hand tracking going, you see your hands and you can control the Pimax experience with your hands, and it has everything from scrolling to button presses to the whole boat.
Yeah,
So-
we're already testing as of now. We're already testing the eye tracking inside of Pimax VR experience to just maneuver or take control over the UI with your eyes only, which is quite a cool feature. And this could be used in customized solutions for enterprise
Exactly.
or other companies who have their specific solutions, and like opticians, for instance.
Also nicht
Ja.
wirklich viele
A lot of
Neuigkeiten
requests
hier
for that kind of thing at the
in
company.
diesem Pimax
People that need
Live-Event.
the wide
Mal
field
gucken,
of
ob noch
view
was
and high
kommt.
resolution and a lot of other features that we have.
Jetzt ging es noch darum, dass sie auch
But,
noch Livestreams
until
machen.
now, we didn't have like a tool chest, kind of a war chest of things that might
Aber diese Pimax
kind of
Experience sieht
quickly
definitiv
launch projects
schon ganz
like
gut
that.
aus,
So if
finde
you
ich.
have if you have a project that could benefit from a Pimax headset, some of the features that we have, and you need to get it, rapidly launched, and you want to do some rapid beta testing, this kind of stuff could really accelerate your timeline. So,
Indeed.
if you have any ideas like that or any projects like that, let us know, and Martin and Armin can definitely help you with that.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, ending up with the Pimax VR experience, we are also going to have live streams, as I mentioned before, hosted by me, Armin, and you, Kevin, of course.
Yep.
Where we're going to talk new ideas, current progress. I mean, potentially new developers we can maybe come in contact with.
Maybe show some beta versions of it that we're working on. Maybe even get some feedback from some people on a live stream.
Right.
Maybe where they talk about what would be better and directions we can go with it, and some of their own ideas.
Sure.
We'd love to hear it. We love that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and the first live stream will be in the first days of April. So it's a few days from now.
Also es gibt noch demnächst noch mehr Livestreams von Pimax über die Pimax Experience.
Exactly. And Armin, remember, Armin is a super important part of this because he's made so many things, and he has some really cool. The graphical, the design of the user interface is totally changing right now. You haven't seen this yet because it's not out in the public beta, but I've seen what Armin is up to right now, and it's amazing. We're going to see some huge changes in the Pimax VR experience to the better, of course. I mean, it's not only going to look more pretty, but it's also going to be easier to navigate, and it's basically like going from Web 1.0 to 2.0 or something like that. You see, it's the next step. So yeah.
It is. And we want to use the Pimax experience as a tool to take Pimax headsets, not just the ones we have now, but future headsets, future products, and integrate them. Like the eye tracking, we want to add eye tracking capabilities into the Pimax experience at some point.
Sure.
We've already got hand tracking in there. We've got things like the backlight control in there, and it's just we're just going to be using that as kind of a springboard to take us into a place where you can just launch a game. It's completely configured. You don't have to do anything. That's the ultimate goal is to have it where you get the most optimized experience possible.
Also nochmal, ihr Ziel ist es mit der Pimax Experience, die besten Konfigurationen automatisch zu laden, und das war's. Okay. Nächstes Thema oder war es das schon jetzt?
But we got a lot more we want to do with it.
Yeah, the progress, I mean, there's a lot of work put into the main core right now, into the server and stuff. So we could have added 500 games by now, but most importantly, it has to work. It has to be stable, it has to be reliable. We don't want to destroy the experience for people, of course. You don't want to get a lower resolution
Sure.
for no reason,
Right.
or a too high resolution so your PC cannot handle it. It's tricky. It takes time, and it's going to be based. Also, I forgot to mention that the profiles are right now already based off your graphic card, RTX 3090, 3080,
Takes into account your
2080, 2070. But there's also going to be parameters like CPU, RAM memory, and other stuff. And of course, the headsets is also, I mean, the profiles are also based on the headset, because, I mean, there's a clear difference between render resolution of the 8KX and the 5K Plus, for instance.
Gibt irgendwie nichts
By the
Neues
way,
hier
so
gerade.
one thing people have asked that we probably should answer real quick
Yeah.
is if you run the Pimax experience and you don't see any profiles for a game, that could be two different reasons. Number one, it might just be that we don't support that game yet with a cloud profile, so that it doesn't let you click on the cloud profile button if there's no profile for it.
Right.
But another thing to know is that it might not be there because you don't have the graphics card that the profile is looking for.
Yes.
So the Pimax experience grabs what kind of cards you have, and then it tries to find the profile for that.
Yeah.
Well, if there's no profile for that, then it basically just doesn't exist. Right now, we don't have it where you can select a profile for a different video card just yet.
Yeah.
One of these days we will.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So yeah,
Alright.
exciting times.
Ich glaube,
ahead,
das war's.
and, big thanks to Armin again. Please support him if you can on his Patreon.
Yeah.
And Kevin, what's your next topic?
Jetzt gibt's noch was.
We talked about PyTool a little bit a minute ago, that the version was we want to talk about PyTool just for a second.
Right, right. That's a
Version
good idea.
270, of course, recently added the 90 hertz, added the 60 hertz, and a whole slew of.
Jetzt geht's um die
other
neue
things.
PyTool
Yeah,
Software.
let me go into detail a little bit quickly
Yeah.
here. First of all, yes, it introduced the firmwares for the 90 and 60 Hertz, which we mentioned before.
Also
But also
dieses
some
PyTool
more
braucht man, wenn
release
man
notes, and one of them
90
is,
Hertz haben
ability
möchte
to
mit der
turn off
5K.
the headset's front chevron light, which is
Exact-
it might sound
5
like a
nee,
simple
8K
thing, but it's
X.
very practical for many people who don't want to have that light on their headset. There is some
Und man kann das
USB
Licht
power supply
ausstellen
mode.
vorne.
There's a new mode which corrects or fixes the bad compatibility with some USB ports some headsets may have. We've seen some rare cases.
Use all new libraries for that now.
Right. Also, if you already have the 5K Super, there was a minor issue where the 90 Hz mode was not available together with large field of view, which it is now, because it was supposed to be there.
Dann
but
gibt's
it
einen
was-
Bugfix
it
für
was
die
probably just a
5K
bug
Super.
inside of PyTool.
Yeah.
And then the Pimax VR experience was added. And yes, you can, if you don't want to, you can use the old empty Pimax Galaxy inside of your headset. If you don't want to use Pimax VR experience, if you just want something simple to choose, which is running in your headset.
Was meint ihr?
Also,
Hauen Sie noch einen raus am Ende?
if you look
Meint
at
ihr, es kommt
the,
noch irgendwas super
CPU,
Spannendes? Sie haben am
RAM
Anfang
memory
gesagt,
and
ja, kommt noch
graphic
irgendwas
card,
Spannendes, was wir alle toll
Requirement
finden würden. Bis jetzt gab's nichts Neues, nichts großartig
I've
Neues.
been
Meint ihr, Sie hauen noch einen raus?
Armin has
Schreibt doch
done
mal bitte
an
hier in den
amazing
Chat rein.
job
Ja,
optimizing
wenn ihr meint, es
so
gibt noch einen,
it's
den Sie noch
not really
raushauen.
taking much of resources, even if you
Yeah,
have
you
it in the
don't
background.
gain anything by just using the Galaxy thing. That's just the truth.
Yeah.
You know,
True.
you're generally just better off installing PE if you, it only
Indeed.
takes minutes and it's free, so there's no
Yeah.
reason to.
Sure. So you should make sure, all of you, make sure to update to the latest
Gentleman,
Python
ja.
version.
Blizzardo,
Enable
nein.
Pimax VR experience in your
Okay,
Python,
habt ihr noch?
so it downloads and installs automatically, and we can assure you you're gonna get a much better experience from now on
Yeah.
with your Pimax, and it's only gonna get better from now on.
Indeed. So,
Right.
I guess what we'll do now is let's answer some questions.
Now we
Nee,
have one
das
more
war's.
thing, Kevin,
Ah, nee,
which
ah,
is
jetzt,
quite an important
jetzt haben Sie
thing
noch was.
also.
Jetzt haben Sie noch was.
The RTX bundles.
Yeah.
Und
Tell me
zwar,
about it, Kevin.
es gibt Bundles.
Yeah, so we do have a limited quantity of them. I don't know how many we
Okay,
ultimately
okay,
got, but I
das
know we
ist
have,
vielleicht ganz interessant.
some stock.
Und zwar, wenn ihr die 3070 haben wollt oder die 3090, gibt es jetzt
We got some 3090s,
Bundles.
we got some 3070s, and we got
Right.
some, and we created some bundles,
Yeah.
Und zwar,
and they're not jacked up. They're not eBay price stuff.
Nope.
They're regular. They're pretty much a regular price stuff. It's from Colorful.
Zum normalen
Yes.
Preis.
Actually,
Also nicht
Colorful,
teurer
if you
als
haven't seen this video,
wie es
Jay's
das auf
2
eBay gibt.
cents,
Von
most of you
Colorful.
probably know who that is. It's a huge YouTuber on YouTube. He made a review of the Colorful graphic card, the RTX 3080, I think it was, which is 3080, 3090. And he was super impressed by it, especially the overclocking capability. So that graphic card brand, even though colorful.
So, 3070 Bundle, 8KX plus 3070, $2,184. Noch plus Shipping und Handling. Und 8KX mit der 3090 für $3,204. Plus Shipping und Handling.
And the graphic card. And most importantly, it's in stock right now. Hopefully still it's in stock because it's already available on the website right now, so hurry up.
Also, wenn ihr eine 3070 haben wollt, eine 3090 und dabei noch eine Pimax 8KX, könnt ihr euch die jetzt von deren Webseite bestellen. Ja, vielleicht wenn ihr nur die Grafikkarten haben wollt, dann könnt ihr die Pimax 8KX wieder weiterverkaufen. Und dann habt ihr die 3070 oder die 3090.
Here in Sweden right now, if you want to buy a 3090, you have to pay almost $3,000. It's like $1,000 more than it was originally when the cards were released in a very small quantity.
So we don't have any 3080s. We've only got 70s and 90s.
Yes, exactly. So it's 3070s and 3090s, and hurry up, they might be even gone right now. We don't know.
Yeah.
We're trying to prevent bots to make any purchases here. And so that's why we haven't announced it or anything. Yeah.
We don't have any special mechanisms to fool with trying to detect some nutty bots, whatever.
Right.
But we did obtain some 3090s.
Ist das Lighthouse-Set mit dabei? Gute Frage. Ich glaube nicht.
Together a bundle, and we do have them in stock. And they're from Colorful. And do you have a slide for the price?
This slide is, it's, let me bring it back here. It's $21.84 for the full bundle with an RTX 3070. So now, $2,184.
Right, and then the 90 is how much?
$3,204.
Denkt dran, dass die Preise normalerweise noch ohne deutsche Umsatzeinfuhrsteuer sind. Ja, also nochmal 19% drauf. Das nicht vergessen, bitte.
Yep. So, one thing people should know is that these will get you 90 hertz. You know, our new firmware will take advantage of these cards, and you'll get to have native mode. The reason we're bundling these with AKXs, of course, is that you get native mode, full maximum FOV, 90 hertz native mode.
Yeah.
Just sort of the holy grail.
And me myself, I have an RTX 3090, and as you can see here, this is my gameplays I've been recording. I just recorded a couple of these. I've tested maybe like 60 games recently with my card and the Pimax 8KX, of course, with the native resolution, and I'm super surprised that it actually runs super smooth. I mean, most of the games really run in 90 frames per second on the 8KX. It was already running smooth on the 75.
Jetzt geht es darum, wie gut die 8KX mit 90 Hertz läuft mit diesen Grafikkarten, und deswegen haben sie das Ganze auch gebündelt, sagen sie.
So the whole system's all combined to give you that experience.
Yeah.
So, with the 3070 or 3090, you'll get 90 hertz in a ton of stuff, especially with the experience if you use the cloud profile.
Yeah, the only exceptions would be like the simulators, like Flight Simulator 2020 or
that one is you're going to get. So just an FYI, with Flight Sim 2020 on an AKX, you in most cases.
Okay, Subanabi sagt gerade, die Preise stimmen nicht.
Yeah, but that's the same case even with an Oculus Rift or an HTC.
Mit 3070.848 Euro und mit 3090 2.712 Euro. Danke, Subanabi.
It was almost exactly the same.
Sure, I mean, people are tweaking their Oculus Quest even to run in 30 frames per second. Some of them are running in 20 frames per second and are quite happy with that. You know, that's where the bar is set right now. Unfortunately.
Yeah, that's the hardest. I think that's probably easily the hardest VR title to run.
Yeah.
Is Flight Sim 2020.
But it's also one of the most beautiful looking. It's an amazing flight simulator.
It's mind blowing on an 8KX when you get it all dialed in.
Yeah.
You know, really is.
So, gibt's noch was Neues hier oder war's das?
So we got these bundles, man. So they're probably already gone.
Yeah,
Die
I
Bundles,
haven't
genau.
checked the website because we're streaming this. I have too many windows.
We don't have any way of telling.
No, but if there is, I mean, hurry up. They might be gone any second.
Yeah.
It's really difficult to find a graphic card. I'm so happy that I purchased a graphic card back in the days. And that was a palette, actually. A palette.
And if you get the AKX, to reiterate, you get the AKX, in the next hours, you're going to get a free KD mask with it, which is 1,000,000 times better than an S mask.
Sure. Yeah.
$120.
Absolutely.
Safe. Yeah.
All right,
Now,
Kevin. Q&A.
Okay, ich glaube, das war's.
So,
Ich glaube, das war's. Jetzt geht's um Fragen und Antworten. Ich denke,
now's the
wir
time.
können das jetzt beenden.
Now
Go
is
in
the
the
time.
chat,
Oder?
and we will make a stab at it.
Ja, ich glaube, wir
I
beenden das
only
jetzt
have
mal hier.
one of the chats open now that I think about it.
Jo! So, das war's. Das war das Pimax Live-Event. Ich habe es euch hier mal live auf MRTV gebracht und so gut es ging auf Deutsch für euch übersetzt. Ich hoffe, hat euch ein bisschen Spaß gemacht, das Ganze. Ihr konntet jedenfalls miteinander chatten. Um es nochmal zusammenzufassen, also ich finde, es gibt nicht so viele Neuigkeiten, die Pimax uns hier berichtet hat. Pimax 8KX kann jetzt 90 Hertz. Das wussten wir aber schon. Es gibt einen neuen 60 Hertz Modus für die Pimax 8KX. Dann gibt es die Pimax Experience. Da gibt es jetzt Cloud-Profile, was ganz gut ist. Die Pimax Experience, das ist die neue Software von denen. Dann, worum ging es noch? Das DEMAS, deren neuer Kopfhörer, auf den die Leute schon recht lange warten, der ist immer noch nicht fertig und als Grund wird jetzt genannt, dass sie noch was an dem Audio-Codec verbessern wollen. Dann haben sie gesagt, das Ganze wird an 10 Tester rausgesandt, ganz genau wie die Controller. Da haben sie auch den Controller jetzt mal gezeigt und zwar, sieht der zwar ganz interessant aus, aber hat halt nur ein Thumbpad. Diese Version vom Controller. Da gibt es auch noch den Sword Sense Controller, der hat dann auch einen Thumbstick, aber dazu haben sie jetzt nichts gesagt. Sie haben auch keine neuen Daten genannt, wann das Ganze irgendwie rauskommen sollte. Ja, das war es, glaube ich schon. Das war eigentlich so die Zusammenfassung. Dann gibt es jetzt Bundles, und zwar die 8KX mit der 3070 und der 3090, aber die sind vielleicht jetzt schon ausverkauft, sagten sie. Und ansonsten gab es echt nichts Neues. Ich hatte mich schon im Vorfeld auf meinem Patreon-Kanal da etwas darüber gewundert, dass sie nicht einfach mal alle Informationen zusammenfassen und vielleicht schon den Leuten wie mir und vielleicht Upload VR und Road to VR vorher sagen, was sie da ankündigen, damit man dann sofort ein Video machen kann. Aber jetzt wundere ich mich da nicht mehr drüber, denn es gab irgendwie nicht so viel Neues, oder? Oder fandet ihr, es gab viel Neues? Sag doch mal. Gab nicht so viel Neues, ne? Also, leider nicht viel Neues. Ja, Alex, es gibt einen MRTV Discord-Server. Link unten in der Beschreibung dieses Videos oder in meinen anderen Videos. John Connor, nee, ich habe kein Beef mit Pimax. Ich habe kein Beef mit Pimax. Ich hatte einen Beef, ja, mit Survivor, genau. Aber also von mir aus gibt es da keine Probleme mehr. Ja, also ich habe keine Probleme mit Pimax. Ich habe auch keine negativen Gefühle irgendwie gegenüber irgendjemandem. Ne? Also das passt. So. Ja, habt ihr noch irgendwelche Fragen oder irgendwas? Irgendwas, was ich noch erwähnen sollte? Ansonsten mache ich gleich vielleicht noch ein kurzes Video zum anderen Thema. Das Interessanteste war vielleicht, dass Survivor Vater geworden ist. Genau. Kann sein, John Connor, kann sein. Ich schreibe Ihnen vielleicht nochmal eine Mail. So, das war's dann für diesen Livestream vom Pimax-Event. Hoffe, hat euch Spaß gemacht. Wenn ja, würde ich mich natürlich sehr über den Daumen nach oben freuen. Und ja, ansonsten mache ich gleich vielleicht noch ein ganz kurzes Live-Video über Ready Player 2. Und das war's dann für heute. Ja? Also, macht's gut. Bis bald und macht Lärm für den Algorithmus. Vielleicht noch, genau, ihr könnt vielleicht noch unter das Video einen Kommentar schreiben. Und zwar, was ihr von diesem Pimax Live-Event haltet. Ansonsten, macht's gut. Bis bald. Tschüss.